Take one quick look at today's games, and you might think that this is one of the weakest slates you've seen for pitching all year. But take a little bit of a closer look, and you'll realize that this is actually way deeper than it appears at first glance. Hey, you're watching The Perfect Lineup, where Josh Engleman and myself, Dave Loughran, look to build the most beautiful lineup, take down a tournament. We only need one. So welcome back from the weekend. If you think this content, or you've enjoyed this content, you think it helped you one way or another along the way, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's 100% free to do. And speaking of free, you want to grab yourselves a free week of MLB Sims, the same tools we use here and the same tools that all of those Stokastic avatars have used to take down tournaments over the course of the season. Just leave a comment down below with who you think the top stack is going to be tonight. Only 12 teams to choose from. If you get it right and you're the only one to pick that team, you're not even entered into a raffle. You just get the Sims for free for the week. Otherwise, we'll spin the wheel and you still have a pretty good chance there as well. So let's get into it and talk about our two pitchers as we always do. Then we'll get to Josh and his stack. First up, look, I mentioned it at the top. I think this is an oddly loaded pitching slate. There's just solid tournament options across the board in really good matchups. It's not the pedigree of the individual pitchers, but more so the spots that they're lined up in. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Take a look at the top pitchers tool for today. 11 of the 12 starting pitchers have a top two pitcher probability between 10 and 19%. And there isn't a single team with a team total in the fives. So yeah, Garrett Crochet is going to stand out to me. There's a couple of reasons for it though. Everything I just said, you'd be like, well, why would you go to Crochet when you have everything else? I don't think you actually, and we'll talk about some pivots in a second. I don't think you actually have to pay down on both, because if you look at the stacks today, outside of a couple teams, there's no one you really need to pay a premium for. So you got a guy in Crochet going up against the Reds team that's been brutally bad against lefties this year. Bottom 3 in WRC plus, 23% K rate on their active roster. And then while there is, some depth to this slate for pitching, it's more so your SP2s, unless you want to pay down for both, and you're more than welcome to do so. But Crochet's in a league of his own. He's got a 32% K rate against righties. And look at this baseball savant chart right here. He's just elite or borderline elite in essentially every single pitching category that matters for us on a DFS perspective. So yeah, you have another 10K pitchers, Carlos Rodon, facing a Blue Jays team that's been surprisingly great against lefties and strikes out at a league low 16% clip this year. Crochet just stands out as the top option in my mind and in the tools. You could also look at 8K. You got a guy like Chase Burns. First start was fantastic until he stumbled in the fourth or fifth inning, but still, no more Rafael Devers in Boston. Now Boston has the second highest K rate in the league against righties. So there's multiple ways you can go here. We're going to go with Garrett Crochet.
No need to spin the wheel today. We went back to Friday to see who had the Baltimore Orioles and their monster performance, and it turns out there was only one. So shout out to Mark Kelly 3910. You see it on the screen right now. You were the only person to get the Orioles correct, which means you get 1 week of the MLB Sims. Email support@stokastic.com to get your code.
Now at our SP2 spot, I think without even talking to him, Josh is going to co-sign this play for tonight, because it's something that we've done for a long time, dating back multiple years now. Even though the splits haven't been quite as dramatic this year, it's Mariners pitching at home. Look, George Kirby checks all of the boxes tonight, outside of actually being good this season, but still, he's $7,700. The Royals have a slate low 3.6 team total. It's T-Mobile Park, which is far and away the best pitcher's park in baseball, and it's also number one in strikeouts according to StatCast park factors. Look, I know he isn't generating a tons of swing and misses this year. He did strike out 14 Angels earlier this month, though, and I have confidence that, even against a contact-heavy Royals team, he can pay off a mid-7K price point, not even getting a ton of ownership. If you're looking now to pivot, though, off of Kirby as your SP2, I do think there are some really good alternatives. Drew Rasmussen, and I want to give you guys kind of all of these that I can, right? Because what's the point of doing this if I'm only giving you two plays, even though we're going to build out something great in the single lineup sim in a second. Drew Rasmussen against the A's today looks good. The tools love him. Patrick Corbin, faces an Orioles team that has been, I won't say historically bad, but dreadful against lefties all year long. And he has a 5.5K prop in some spots. Also, in the same matchup as Kirby, I wouldn't rule out Michael Wacha in Seattle or Jacob Lopez against this Drew Rasmussen matchup. 29% K rate on the teams, and the Rays have been average at best against lefties. So when I say it's a deep slate, I mean you've got a ton of 6 and 7K guys that slot in really nicely depending on what your build looks like.
I'll be honest, I was a little nervous. I thought Laffy was going to pay up double at pitcher and really hang me out to dry. But it turns out that would have been fine. I'm looking at value at stack today, and I want to go to the Texas Rangers. Now, I'm going to need you guys to hear me out for this one. Let's start with our data. 6th in top stack, 1st in top value, and it's not even close. They're first by quite a bit. They are 3rd in stack score, but just 7th in ownership. And I think that's an interesting angle to take. I think we're going to get a little bit of leverage here. The goal that we're looking for out of the Rangers, it's going to be righty power against the lefty in Trevor Rogers. Rogers, 160 ex-ISO against righties over the past year and a half. That's the angle that we're going to try to attack, whether that's Marcus Semien, Garcia, Jonah Heim, Higashioka, Josh Young. Like, are they illustrious bats? No. If Heim and Higashioka are both in the lineup, you can't even use both of them if you want to. Now let's get to some of the bigger negatives. These are going to be the reasons that I'm quite confident you guys aren't going to like this, but there's a reason that you should when it's all said and done. They are dead last in WRC plus against lefties this year. They are 27th in WRC plus at home. ISO is basically the same. So no power at home, no power against lefties, no talent against any of those things. That should not make you be excited to get this stack, but we can't just look at that general raw data, because when push comes to shove, DFS is a game of maximizing your opportunities relative to salary. And that's why we're seeing them grade out so well in our stack score. Because it's not even just about how bad they've been at home or against lefties. The park doesn't help either. It's essentially like one of the biggest pitchers parks we have now. That used to be a very different story. Now, the 8th lowest park factor for home runs for righties. That's not great. They don't give up a ton of runs in Texas now either. So most of what we like here is going against us. Other than the fact that the salaries for Texas today are very approachable, which is going to allow us to maybe not have the most powerful stack, but our final 3 guys in our lineup are going to be real, legitimate high-end bats. So now we get to the best part of the video, using the single lineup simulator to find out just how good are the picks we've made so far. I've loaded in Crochet, I've loaded in Kirby. I went with a 5-man Ranger stack of Jonah Heim, Semien, Jung, Garcia, and then I had to fill it out with one last bat. I'm just going to take it straight to the leadoff spot. Give me Sam Haggerty. That leaves us $4,600 to fill out first, short, and outfield. I think that's going to set us up pretty well, but there's one way to find out, and that's by clicking complete this lineup. And when I do that, we get to fill out with Yandy Diaz at first, Gunnar Henderson at short, and Jarren Duran as our final outfield option. And if you guys don't like that, you can X one of those out and swap these guys around if you want to. But now is the time to find out just how good is this lineup really. And we can find that out by clicking Run Lineup Simulation. Another absolute gem, 41% sim ROI, a 0.2% chance of winning the contest, 2% top 10, and a 30% cash rate. All of that looks great. I get it. You might not want the Rangers. You might want to stack a little bit more in your extra 3 guys. The single lineup simulator makes it very easy to do so. Swap guys around, rerun your sims, save whatever lineups you like. But I think you should save this one because I think it's going to end up being at least maybe not totally perfect, but as close to perfect as possible.